5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Strap in. You're listening to God Stories Radio. God Stories Radio. God Stories Radio. Bringing hope and comfort through the Christian testimony.
Welcome, everyone, to this edition of God Stories Radio. This is session 65. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike. Where is she?
She's not here. I think she's down gallivanting in the Keys, last I heard.
In the Keys, and probably not very good, weather that you would expect at this time of year anyway. But,
well, yeah.
But they're still down there where are all the...
Sharks.
Sharks.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I don't know. Does Jim fish?
I don't know.
What does Jim do?
He watches TV.
Yeah, we know that. Yes, he does. Well, there'd be nothing like watching TV at beachfront condo down in the Keys.
Well, you know how he is. It's certainly not going to be
beachfront. Yeah, he wouldn't have got the room at the right price.
Uh-huh. It would have had to been the bright price, no matter what, for him to go.
Ah, Trish, we love you. We miss you. And yes, we do even love Jim.
Yes, we do.
Amen. Well, Mikey, we got a new country, I hear.
Yes, we do. We have 40 countries now listening throughout the world, and the newest one is Ireland.
Ireland?
Yes.
Wow.
Top of the morning to you.
That's fantastic. Welcome, Ireland, to the show.
And I got a few names that liked us on Facebook recently.
Fantastic.
Stephen Rosenberg, Linda Rosario, and Luis Alfredo Nera. So thank you for the likes on Facebook.
Welcome, guys. Thank you for following us on Facebook. We hope that you're enjoying the show, and please reach out to us, godstoriesradio@gmail. You can...
Twit us.
Thank you, Mikey. Tweet us at God Stories Radio. Hey, and check out our new online store. I'm really proud of this thing. I really am. You can get your Got Jewett muscle tee. You can get the God Stories Radio coffee mug, which every household should own one of those. At least 3. And when you buy these things, a very small proceed goes to support us here at God Stories Radio. So look no further for your Christmas holiday shopping than godstoriesradio.com/store. Yes. So, without further ado, I'd like Mikey to... I'm so excited about our guest tonight ever since we had OS 91 on a couple of weeks ago, and Mary told us about our guest tonight. We have just been anticipating and waiting anxiously.
Yes, God opened the door for him to have a Thursday night off.
Amen.
Especially this Thursday night, which we had nobody planned.
It just doesn't surprise me anymore, Mikey.
Really?
Just the way that things work out, and the fact that we're sitting here recording session 65. We moved from the kitchen to the living room.
And then hopefully...
What an upgrade.
As we're praying for our home for GSR at this point, we believe that that's where our next step should be.
Amen.
So join us in prayer for that. But anyway, so again, like you said, without any further ado, we have Corporal Luis Irizarry, and he is from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and he's been there for over 18 years. And he fairly recently had to come to know Operation Safety 91 through Mary and Ed. We didn't get to meet Ed. We wish we did, but Luis did his testimony or his tribute to him a month or two ago. So we give you Luis.
Welcome to the show, Luis.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. Well, my name is Luis Irizarry, as you mentioned. Been a deputy for over 18 years. Started out in 96 with law enforcement. To tell you a little bit about myself, I was born in New York. And
we won't hold that against you, Luis.
Yeah, that's sorry. Right, dude.
Blank,
we're not
blank space.
Yeah, we're not wasting any tape.
Okay. I was born in New York, came to know God at an early age. I came from a broken home, you can say. I seen alcoholism take effect in my family, with starting out with my dad. I remember when I was 5 years old, actually the last fight he had with my mom, which was the fight that caused my mom to leave with my brother and sister. I didn't see him thereafter. And at that point, we were living in Chicago. We moved back to New York, where I was born, and moved in with my grandmother. And that's where I got to know God a little better. I went to a Roman Catholic church in Brooklyn, New York, was an altar boy. I remember walking to church even when my family members didn't go. As a child, it's something that I always wanted to be involved in, was the church. Left New York when I was about 12 years old, only because family members moved to Central Florida. When I got here, I kind of lost touch with God. I wasn't really connecting with him, only because I think it's just life as a child kind of catches up with you. And not only that, my mom was a single mom. I started working at the age of 13 years old.
Wow.
Started working at the age of 13 to kind of take the burden away from her as far as raising 3 kids by herself. My uncle took me under his wing and was pretty much like my father figure. I graduated high school. I always remembered I wanted to be a police officer. Even when I was in New York, 8 years old or so, I remember wanting to be a police officer, but it wasn't in the cards. I wasn't thinking about it even during high school. I went to college, got a degree in art in '92, where I met my wife. The funny thing is that God placed her in my life at that point too, only because out of all the places, once I got to know her, we started out as friends. Come to find out, her mom taught my whole entire family, and she didn't know me. I know God placed her in my life for a reason. We ended up getting married in '96, and that's exactly when I started my law enforcement career. Back in '98, I almost died of pneumonia. And I remember asking God, because at the time my wife was pregnant with my firstborn, my son. I remember asking him to help me through it, because I almost, like I said, almost died of pneumonia. And I remember being in intensive care for more than 3 days, and just wishing that he gave me the opportunity to see my firstborn. And he did. He granted that, and I after that, I just moved on and just kept living. I really didn't thank him enough for doing that. Started my career with the Orange County Sheriff's Office in 2000. Got hired on, and actually at the time, that was one of my biggest dreams. I would talk about being a deputy for Orange County for many, many years before I even became a deputy there. 2008 was another time that my wife, actually I knew God was there, was when my wife got sick. Or she didn't get sick, but she had some complications during an outpatient surgery, which she almost died. I remember asking God there, please save her. I can't raise 2 kids. I had my daughter at the time. I can't raise 2 kids by myself. Miraculously, she came through. What happened after that, though, was pretty hard for me, because I ended up, because of the complications, she ended up around the same time losing her job. Remember losing everything. I lost my home. I lost my cars. I lost anything material that we had. I was pretty upset about it, and I remember just being very bitter. And with this job, I think you see a lot of negative. You see a lot of evil. And I had doubts. I had doubts about God. I had doubts whether or not God was there for me. And like I said, with this job, you see so much happen that you question yourself a lot. Well, after that, I just stopped going to church, and my wife continued going to church. Actually, she started going to church. And I remember her asking me to go to church. And I remember how I used to be as a kid, where I had the desire to go to church. Now the desire left. And I didn't want to go to church. When she would ask me to go to church, I'll make up an excuse, so I would work extra just so that I didn't have to go. And I remember her asking me to go, and she would, and I wouldn't go. So back in 2000, after I had lost everything in 2008, I just lived, and which is something crazy for me, just to sit there and survive, especially in the line of work we do.
You're in good company here, brother.
Mm-hmm. You are.
Yep.
Real good company.
Me and Mikey, similar story.
Yeah. But that was God seeing which way you were going to go with that. He was getting your attention big time.
Absolutely.
And seeing which way you were going to take that.
Yeah, now looking back at it, yeah, I could say he was testing me, and honestly, at one point, we want to throw up our hands in the air and say, I give up.
He was looking to see where your heart was.
Well, he was stripping him of anything he had confidence in, anything,
and he did.
Thank goodness your wife wasn't included in that list.
She continued on. She pressed on, and you never realize how important it is to have somebody who's already there.
Amen.
Who has a relationship with God, especially when you go through anything traumatic or hard in your life. Knowing that you have somebody else that you can lean on and say, hey, it's going to be okay. God's here, and he's going to help us. And I remember her saying that even when we were going through our financial hardships, that don't worry about it. God's got it covered. Don't worry. And I remember being a little bitter because I was going, where is he? Mm-hmm. And she would tell me that all the time. And I used to get upset about it, but like I said, thinking about it now, it's completely different. Well, moving on with my journey, I decided to at one point when actually after we went past that, and I gotten a little better with the way things were going, and things were going, it seemed to be going the right way. In 2013, I decided to take a supervisor's exam and become a supervisor in the sheriff's office, only because I wanted to lead young men and women. And I felt that was my obligation to the sheriff's office and for myself. At that point, God wasn't in the picture. But I did it, and thank God I passed. November of last year was another hard time for me. A couple days after Thanksgiving, I lost the uncle who took me under his wing when I was a child. And that was a very hard thing, because he was actually hit by a vehicle and left for dead on the side of the road. And I remember dealing with that, and here we go again. I'm thinking, God, why? Why would you let something like that happen to such a beautiful person who, I mean, he was a beautiful person. To me, he was an angel. And I remember asking God, why would you do that? Why would you? And that was just me, because I didn't know. And I would ask him these questions, and I'll be upset about it, and I'll get angry about it. But I learned to live with it after November 2014, when he passed away. Well, in December of 2014, I was actually December of 2013. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
2013. December 2013, I was asked to become a acting supervisor, because I haven't been promoted just yet. I was asked to become a acting supervisor or an acting corporal for a midnight shift on my side of the rotation. And without blinking an eye, batting an eye, I said yes. And this, to me, was a no-no, but I said yes, although I didn't ask my wife for permission. And she never told me anything as far as when I told her that I wanted to become a midnight supervisor, and they asked me to become that supervisor. I said yes. She didn't even get upset at me for saying yes. And that to me was powerful.